I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
I'm gonna make him an offer again.
Of the Juggernaut, bitch!
It's not a tumor.
You are tearing me apart, Lisa!
I have had it with these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane!
2 chicks at the same time.
I am the law!
When you play the Game of Thrones, you win. You die.
Oh, no, not the beast! Not the beast! Ah!
Hello, all you wonderful people. Listen to us live on MegaPowersRadio.com. It is Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, and it is time for Geek Speak Live. Tonight we have an excellent panel. We're just waiting to talk to you guys about one of the coolest, the most badass of all comic book characters of all time, Thor. I'm joined tonight by, let's see, here we're going to start with the man, the myth, the legend, the guy who is awesome in so many ways. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Mike Payton.
Are you hitting on me?
Maybe.
Ooh, we're going to have to talk after this show's over.
And also joining us tonight, another one of the coolest people in the world. It's my brother from across the pond. Although he's not my brother, but it's still Michael Burhan.
Kat Dennings is more awesome than Mike Payton, just saying. I would have hit that 2 ways.
We definitely will have to talk after the show. And joining us tonight, the first timer, I think, for this show. I haven't talked to this guy before, but we had a little bit of a chat before the show
this
started.
Guy.
He is totally cool. He knows his stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Orion. And how
Someone say Venom?
And how do you pronounce his last name, by the way? I just can't do it.
Is Petitclair.
Petitclair. All right, Orion Petitclair.
You sound like a secret agent. You sure you're not like infiltrating the show on behalf of a agency somewhere?
He much more seems more like the villain, the cat stroking villain.
Indeed, I am stroking something.
Okay, enough of these kind of jokes. So what's our big topic tonight?
By the way, just in case anybody doesn't know who I am your lovely host for this evening, Travis Goss.
Now you're just boasting about your own loveliness.
Yes, because I'm so damn hot. I think tonight we are discussing all things Thor. Talking about, I guess, when you starting out the comic books back in the heyday, and talking about some movies and some animated shows. And I think it's only fair that we start tonight by discussing the most recent Thor movie that came out some time ago, and we're discussing this tonight because there's going to be a sequel of Thor coming out later on this month. But listen, in the meantime...
This weekend, in fact.
This weekend, yeah. See? We're going to throw this out to the panel. We're talking about the Thor motion picture that came out some time ago. Guys, what about it?
All right, well, this movie came out in 2011, and it's part of the ongoing series that Marvel has been doing of all their big superhero names coming together that eventually led to the big Avengers movie, and, of course, they're just continuing this whole universe going in all these weird directions. This was one of the earlier ones, I believe. I think this was the third or the fourth one they ever made of the series. Fantastic, in my opinion. I never was a big person on Thor, and when I first got to check this movie out, I actually did it really delayed because other than Iron Man, I had no interest in checking out any of the other Marvel movies. But when I finally did, I was like, man, I should have given this a chance because they did a really unique direction with them where a lot of people don't like it when they do this with superheroes, but they humanize them for a long part of the movie. And this God trying to fit in with society and all the funny moments he has just doing regular everyday things like drinking coffee or having his blood taken are absolutely hilarious. But at the same time, he could be such a badass when he's fighting the enemies and calling down lightning and speaking between him and his brother or even with his father. I'm really impressed with what they did with this movie.
You mean you don't really throw down your coffee mug after you drink it? I do.
Another!
I hope you have paper cups.
Paper is for the weak.
Oh, man. Oh, by the way, if anybody wants to chime in tonight's subject on Thor, I'll just give you the phone number right now. It's 760-512-7247. We are live. Call us now.
Hey, someone else want to give their rough summaries? I'm not going to talk for days.
Okay, when I first saw that they were putting together a Thor movie, because this was for most people who don't know, there was actually a Thor movie planned prior to this one. And this was back in the day when they did the Incredible Hulk TV series, and they had their own sort of Fox version of Thor on there. But they couldn't really get the character working, so it kind of stayed there in movie hell. Now, the origin of this movie actually differs from the comic book if you've actually read the comic. Now, Thor, when he actually got casted onto Earth to understand what it was like to be more human, he actually merged with a gentleman called Dr. Donald Blake, who used to smack his cane on the ground and he would become Thor. That kind of changed because his other host kind of changed to someone else. I'm trying to figure out who the guy's name is. I'll look that up a little bit and get a hold of that guy as well. Because eventually he goes through a whole huge emphasis on change. He understands what it's like being human. He kind of gets humanized himself in the comic books. Now, he started in Journey into Mystery 83 and was one of Stan Lee's creations, so to speak. So, as obvious, you're going to you see Stan Lee in the movies. Now,
is Stan Lee really that old that he went back in time to the Norse mythology and created Thor? Huh.
No, the Marvel character.
Oh, okay. Oh.
I'm not talking about Norse mythology. If you want to go to Norse mythology, there's a different story on that. Now, again, with the movie, how it differs, they just, they get rid of the whole Donald Blake character and they just go with Thor himself. So it is quite funny watching this Asgardian god trying to assimilate himself in human society and doing all the things that he's usually accustomed to doing, but told not to. It's like I love the cafe scene where he's drinking the drink. He goes, "This is nice. Oh, another!" and then smashes it on the floor, and everyone's just looking at him like he's a complete and utter psychopath.
My favorite scene.
It is one of my favorites as well. And we've got an amazing cast in there as well. You've got Hemsworth. You've got what's her name? She recently won an Oscar.
Natalie Portman.
Natalie Portman, Kat Dennings.
Natalie Portman actually playing the love interest very well for once.
Yeah, and she had kind of a career renaissance after she won that Oscar for Black Swan. Kind of gone a bit downhill by now, but is set to reprise her role in the Thor Dark World. But in that again, you can see that it brings that whole sort of subtext to the story as well. How behind every strong great man, there is this great woman as well. She kind of his rock, so to speak, that allows Thor to keep going. And in the movie as well, there's a nice little story on sacrifice, because you can literally figure out how he truly tries to find what humanity really is. And and in a sense, humanity is kind of sacrifice, and you've got to sacrifice for the ones you love. Anybody else want to jump in?
You guys know a little more about this Thor stuff than I do, because before we even actually this show even came on the air, was sometime during the week after we did last week's show, was announced we were going to be doing this, and I was like, what? I had no understanding or knowledge of Thor, but I will say I am impressed with the character.
Was this your first time watching the movie?
It really was, and this is the very first time I ever saw anything about Thor. I mean, I've heard about Thor, this is really funny. In the 1987 comedy, the Adventures in Babysitting, where the little girl is going on about Thor, that's the first time I ever heard about the character. And before we even did the show, that chick got a couple films. One of them I'm going to discuss when my segment pops up later on here. But all in all, I'm impressed. Is it enough to make me a fan? Not really, but I do like what I've seen so far.
Yes, I really love the films too. As far as Avengers and the first Thor film goes, it's pretty good stuff.
That's the thing, though. He does Hemsworth takes a bit more of a back seat in the Avengers movie, in a sense, in order to further the storyline between Cap, Iron Man, and in a lesser sense, Banner the Hulk. But he does hold his own. And with someone like Hemsworth, he was virtually an unknown when he started off in Hollywood. I knew of him because he was doing, like, he did a soap opera over in Australia called Home and Away, which we get here in the UK. So I used to see him a lot in that. He was like a paramedic in there, and he ended up like dying. They usually kill their characters off with cancer. I think he probably was one of those who died with cancer for some weird reason. It doesn't work, just kill him with cancer. And him and his brother came over to the States. They were auditioning for loads of different movies. He went one way. He's now this like big Hollywood star now because of his role in Thor, where his brother's he's doing okay. I think he's more famous for basically having a relationship with Miley Cyrus. But with him, he's doing amazingly well. He recently did a movie with Ron Howard, didn't he? What was that called? He played a race car driver. So his profile's going up. He's set to reprise his role in Thor: The Dark World, which is going to be debuting here in the UK as well on Thursday. So I'm going to be watching that. I'm not actually. I think it's already opened here.
You got it before us?
Yeah. That usually happens with the Marvel movies. We get it before you guys.
I envy you over the pond, always getting the movies before us.
But yeah, so I'm going to be watching that on Thursday. With the character himself, you can literally, the journey pretty much is similar in the comics to the way that it's actually been wrote in the movies. So Hemsworth does it really well, and you can see the character grow. I can't wait to watch the Dark World and see if there's more of an evolution on it. And the one thing that that people didn't know was going to happen, but ended up happening because the guy was so good, was Tom Hiddleston, being this amazing Loki. Yeah, basically, the character was so ingenious, so great in the first Thor movie, they brought him back for the Avengers movie, and now they're bringing him back again for the Dark World. So he was so superior. He played, I think one definition someone said to me of him was, he's the Joker, but he has more of a sort of a less sort of humorous side to him. He's more serious.
He's Shakespearean. Yes,
in a sense. And a lot of it, you can look at the traits of this movie as well from the director, Kenneth Branagh. He's directed tons of Shakespeare films. A lot of stuff has been vanity projects for himself because he always casts himself as the title character, but he's always done sort of Shakespearean, rather British. I'm an actor, and that's been his forte. He's acted in a couple of things as well, usually like period dramas or like movies where you need a nice little British RP accent in. And he's played rather well. He was in one of the Frankenstein movies. I think I don't think it was Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. It was another one. But you can see a lot of him in this movie as well because of the way Hemsworth acts, because of the way Hiddleston acts with Loki. He built these characters up and structured them in such a way that you've got like this period drama in the middle of America. And you've got all these Americans not understanding who the heck these guys are and what they're doing. Loki's the man who's trying to rule with an iron fist because he's got daddy issues. And Thor is the guy trying to protect the world after being this snobbish asshole and, being thrown into Earth. But yeah, it's a fun thing to see. You get to watch the growth. If you read the comic books as well, the character changes a heck of a lot more. We've had stories where Thor's father has basically died, then brought back to life. We've had them having conflict with the Greek gods and stuff as well. We've had Thor disappear for God knows how long. We've even had well, if they haven't read them now, I don't think they need to go back and read them because this is all in the 1990s era of the Marvel run as well. We even had him change where they got rid of Thor. He was kidnapped. His soul, in essence, was kidnapped by Mephisto, and they brought a new hero in to take his place called Thunderstrike. Had all the same powers. Had a hammer similar to the Mjolnir, and he was like fighting crime. He was one of the gods.
Very 90s.
Yeah, he was like the the god of thunder when Thor wasn't around, basically. And the character's tradition so much where you don't know how far you can go with it, in a sense, because the whole story of redemption, the humanization of Thor, came in that early sort of 80s and 90s run, and then they just made it worse and worse and worse for him until they kept rebooting the series and changing a lot of the character's traits in order to make him more in tone with today's society. And then now, if we look at the 2000s in a sense, he's become ingrained with the Avengers. You know, he's not just on his own. He doesn't stand alone now. He's more part of this big entity in a sense with the Marvel Phase 1.
Very nice. Let's see here. Hey, would anybody else have any thoughts about this film?
Other than it's going to be awesome? Well,
I mean, the original I'm talking about. The first...
the original? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty much in the same boat as many of us comic geeks, and probably like many of the moviegoers who went to see this, we had no idea about who this Thor person was, except for maybe a passing glance at a comic book shop and seeing, oh, this is the Thor guy. But I was greatly surprised at the characters, like the Sith character especially. Like, I didn't realize you had this strong female character amidst this Shakespearean plot of brother versus brother.
Very nice. Let's see here, and of course we saw the trailer for the second Thor movie coming out this weekend. Throw this open to the panel here, guys. What do you think of the trailer? Is this something definitely worth checking out?
Oh, definitely, especially after the Avengers and after Iron Man 3. It's like Marvel's trying to ramp us up for the next Avengers film, and I don't know how many people saw Iron Man 3. That one was definitely had a different feel from the Avengers and the Iron Man films before it. It was definitely different, and it really tore the audience in two ways, and I had my quabbles with it, but I still loved the film, and I think Thor 2 here, the Dark World, might even surpass Iron Man 3 in that it might bring in more audience because of Loki and Tom Hiddleston.
Okay. Burhan, what do you think of the trailer?
I've looked at it more as something that they're expanding Thor and Loki's relationship, which is a good thing in a sense, because Loki, to me, we only see him as this evil menace. We don't see him as the misunderstood brother, and we get to actually look at a bit more of their relationship, have it a bit more fleshed out in terms of how these two react to one another. I've heard a few spoilers about the movie, which I'm not going to actually iterate here, but from what I personally have seen, we see a lot more character development from his character, which is what we want to see. I want to know if they're going to kill off his love interest. I really do, because there's been loads of rumors about Portman not being happy because the original director who was going to direct it was a personal friend of hers, and she bailed from the project for some weird reason. I think she was having an issue with conflict with Marvel Studios.
Well, I think they're also, from the first Thor film that wasn't really followed up in the Avengers, it felt like there were the roots for a love triangle between Thor, Jane, and then Sif, because Sif she's not really part of the Warriors 3, who we also saw in the first Thor film, and who we will see in this next one. But she was kind of building up.
Warriors 3. In the
she is of the Warriors 3?
Yeah, well, it's Sif and the Warriors 3, basically. So you got I won't go too much into it. But yeah, no, I agree with you, because they did have a relationship in the comics.
Yeah, so I kind of saw something starting in the first Thor film, and from what I've seen of the second Thor film, in all these previews, she might be getting a little more of a part in this one, and might be building up to maybe a possible romantic relationship with Thor.
Yeah, I wouldn't see why not. At the moment, I think Portman's character, in a sense, how long they can keep her on, is dependent on if she's a fan favorite. I know people like Natalie Portman, but in order to give Thor a bit more of to give him a bit more of character development, they may need to sacrifice her in a sense. But we'll see. We'll see how it progresses. It looks good. I like the whole thing of darkness ascending on the Earth, so they've got to protect it. And I want to know what role S.H.I.E.L.D. plays in on this, because they had little to no role in. Well, they had no role in the Iron Man movie. So I want to see what their role is on this. And I know they've got a big role in the Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
Peyton, what did you think?
I think it looks really cool. I'm glad that they're keeping Loki in the dynamic. I'm actually surprised they're keeping him as involved. I'm curious where that's going. And they have this giant overarching story, and as Orion alluded to, they're leading up to the next Avengers film, and it's got to be something that's building overall to that. How much are they really going to include? Because it's not like when you watch the first Thor movie, you're seeing all these big hints of what's going to be coming into the Avengers, and later on when you look back, you can make the connections. Other than the thing in the post-credits, there really isn't much for that. But I wanted to pull back for Thor for just 1 second, because there's two characters in this movie that I feel need to be addressed and talked about on this. First one is the security at Asgard, which is that giant metal robot thing. And it's
the Destroyer.
The Destroyer? Okay, I didn't even know if it had a name. But its face like implodes on itself, and then it shoots fire out at these alarmingly fast rates, and it makes this really, really evil sound. And I think that's the thing that makes it most scary to me, is the sound it makes when it's shooting this fire out. I think it's the most terrifying sound that I've heard in a movie ever since the roar from the T-Rex in Jurassic Park.
How about the sound of the blasters in War of the Worlds, the film with what's his name?
Tom Cruise.
Yeah, Tom Cruise.
Those were good too. Absolutely.
Yeah, those were quite frightening.
But yeah, and I was listening to this with my headphones on, and I have really good studio quality headphones, so the bass was just coming through. It's a wong, and oh my gosh, it's terrifying. I remember the first time I saw that movie. That thing, you know how you have daydreams? Well, that thing gave me day nightmares. I was completely afraid of that thing for a few days. Then I realized it's not real. But someone should have told me that quicker.
Oh no, it is real.
Oh shit! It's just on one of the other planet systems. That's right.
Yeah, it's on our moon right now. It's coming for us.
So does that thing play a big part in the continuing role of the story? Like, because I saw it was pretty much the security of Asgard. Is that its role overall throughout the comic storyline?
It gets misused a lot. He becomes one of Thor's big enemies at one point, then becomes back to Asgard security, and then gets misused by Mephisto for something else. So it depends, really. It changes. What's
its deal? Like, where did it come from? Is there a race of those things? Is it a creation? What is it?
It's created.
Okay. Is there an army of them?
No.
Who created it?
I believe it was... oh, crud.
Well, when I watched... there was the animated Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes series. I think... if I'm remembering correctly, in one of those episodes that was about Asgard, they explained that I guess it was some dwarf or something who makes all these creations, like Thor's hammer and all that, who created the Destroyer.
Huh. Okay.
I think.
So the other one I wanted to mention is my absolute favorite character from the movie. You know who it is?
Who?
Heimdall.
Oh,
that dude was badass. He just stands there, like, completely motionless, holding his sword, talking in really smart-sounding, slow tones. Really, like, the all-knowing, all-seeing. He can see anything that's going on, except for when the frost giants sneak in. But foul sorcery. Man, that guy was really cool. When he finally gets relieved of his duties from Loki, and he's going to swing his sword, and it slowly freezes just before he's able to get it to Loki's throat. That guy just kept going, kept being a fighter. Yeah, I hope he plays a bigger role in the upcoming film, because he only got, maybe 10 lines in this movie.
I've read that we're going to be seeing a fight scene with him, possibly.
Badass. He has my favorite whole line in the movie, actually, too. It was when Thor and his crew there were about to go to the Frost Giants planet, and as they're leaving, he's saying, don't get yourselves killed or anything like that. And he's like, I don't intend to die today. And just as they're about to port, he's saying, none do.
Well, I'm going to kind of steer the ship back to this whole thing about Natalie Portman. Now, here's the thing. Because apparently there were rumors, like we mentioned before, that Natalie Portman had to be forced back for the second Thor movie.
Yeah, she did. She was actually trying to leave after her director friend left.
Yeah. I'm actually pulling this from a news story that was given to me a few moments ago. Let's see, with the news that Hugo Weaving isn't particularly attached to his role as Red Skull or superhero movies in general, and not angling to get let back into the Captain America franchise, comes an offhand reference by T.G. Daily that Natalie Portman was recently forced to adhere to her multi-movie contract as Titler God's love interest for Thor 2. It's a bit of a flimsy piece of evidence of strain between the actor and the movie studio, but it wouldn't surprise me in the least. It's been almost a year since we visited the story, but Portman was known to not really be enthusiastic about filming the second movie, and especially not after the studio fired her recommended choice for director, Patty Jenkins, who would have been the first woman to direct a film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There were some indications that Jenkins' removal from the movie was not as smooth as the official statements would have made it seem. The Hollywood Reporter's sources said that Marvel was worried about the director's, quote, lack of overall clarity in her choices, which seemed an odd thing to say when the movie was still in the script stages. Other statements made by the actors in the production, like Tom Hiddleston, indicated that they'd already begun talking specifics of characterization with Jenkins. Quote, overall clarity in choices looked a lot like a cover story for choices we didn't like. Portman was said to have been lukewarm on the project due to her desire to take a break from acting and spend time with her young son, pushing the studio to hire Patty Jenkins as a gender-barring breaking first in its careful cultivation of the Marvel Universe on screen, re-engaged her. At the time, THR indicated that Marvel was working hard to smooth over their relationship with Portman post-firing, which is notable if only because the studio was shown very little qualms about dropping the actors in such major characters as the Hulk and James Rhodey Rhodes in their movies, in their actors proved difficult. Force or simply placated, Portman is definitely on for Thor 2 with director Alan Taylor at the helm.
Yeah, it's with Marvel, you can tell they don't really care. In a sense, if they want to keep someone, they'll keep them. If they don't, then they'll just get rid of them and find somebody else. With her situation, the thing is, she shouldn't have signed up for another movie, because it's, for me, I don't like it when an actor says, "Oh, I want to sign up for like 6 or 7 different movies." They sign a multi-year deal and then get pissed off and say, "Well, I don't want to do that anymore," because it doesn't help her. But on the same level, I can see why I can sort of play devil's advocate and say, why did Marvel release Patty Jenkins by saying that they weren't happy with the way the direction the movie was going? But in the end, it's Marvel. They're the ones who they made a multi-billion-dollar franchise with their own properties. So, who are we to question?
That's true. But my personal opinion is about the trailer itself. See, I'm kind of on the fence about this because I understand that we live in a day and age where we have CG animation in order to help cut corners and help enrich the visuals to make the movie even more interesting to watch and everything. That's not my biggest thing about it. I mean, it looks like it's going to be quite entertaining. I definitely will go into it with an open mind. I love the fact that the cast pretty much is back for this one, and But I can't really confirm. Is Kat Dennings in this one as well?
Yes, she is.
Okay, then I'm definitely going to go check it out. No, I think it's going to be great, and I'm really looking forward to seeing this. That being all said, see, we all had individual films or shows we had to watch. So, Mike Payton, what did you watch, and what did you think?
Oh, goodness gracious. All right, so I decided... Oh, we got a caller, actually. So why don't we bring them on?
Okay.
Before I go on my rant. Caller from 917 joining us here on Geek Speak Live. Caller from 917, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Courtney, and I'm calling from New York.
Hi, Courtney. How you doing tonight?
Courtney.
Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind tonight?
Not much. I'm just listening to the show and everything, and I kind of have an issue with the fact that, where people having to be forced to do, their commitments. It's like if you're committed to something, you should stick it out, even if you do have an issue with it,
I agree with you wholeheartedly. In the end, I think it, in a sense, you could say there was an ego in them involved in it as well. On Portman's part, she was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. And you can't do that. You've got to uphold to your contracts, and especially with something like Marvel Studios, where they've got a lot of pull going on at the moment. Agreed.
Yeah, basically. It's like, if you're going to commit to something, then you should definitely stick to it. And I also happen to love the Thor movie, because it's a really great movie, and I'm actually looking forward to seeing the next one.
What's your favorite part of the first Thor movie?
Basically all the fighting. I love action.
Oh, okay. Well, let me tell you, I was just about to talk about this Thor and Loki Blood Brothers. Do not watch it because there's no action whatsoever. Just stick to the movies.
Definitely.
All right, Courtney, anything else on your mind tonight?
Although if you do love...
Oh, okay.
Oh, thanks, Courtney. Have a good night.
Have a good night, Courtney. Take care.
Thanks, Courtney, for calling in. Just want to remind everyone else who's listening, if you'd like to call and talk to us about Thor or whatever else is going on in your mind about the geeky world, you could do so by area code 760-512-7247. That's area code 760-512-7247. All right, so that'll transition me well. Going back into Thor and Loki Blood Brothers, this is what I believe they call a motion comic. Now, I'm not tremendously familiar with these. I remember hearing about them. I believe I actually saw one when I was really, really young. I think it was a Mortal Kombat one, so I'm familiar with what they do with it.
Do you mind if I take it on the motion comic part?
Go ahead.
Right, motion comics are basically, they were started off by where studios would take layers of the comic books. They would basically use renderings and stuff to make the faces and mouths move. They would have voiceovers like in normal animations and stuff like that. But it would usually be set out in like panel to panel for the way the comic books were started. Marvel changed that when they started out with their comics. They released about 4 or 5 of them, I believe, which was one of my favorites ones was Iron Man Extremis. For those of you who haven't seen it, you can check it out on Netflix. I don't know if it's still up on there, but it's a great one. It's the one that Iron Man 3 was supposed to be, but they kind of changed it. And the X-Men,
Astonishing X-Men?
Astonishing X-Men, which was actually written by the director of the Avengers movie, which was Josh Whedon.
Oh.
It was his limited edition series before they actually turned it into an ongoing series with Brian Michael Bendis. So they did those as well. Ghost Rider, there, some Ghost Rider ones out as part of Marvel Knights. Spider-Man.
Spider-Woman,
Agent of S.W.O.R.D. There was loads of them, but this one was actually one of the worst. So take it away.
Yeah, yes, indeed. And the studio you were talking about, they actually have a specific name for it. It's the Marvel Knights Animation Studio.
Yes.
That's the people they had, and I think because they don't want it to go with the actual Marvel animation, I'm not surprised they wanted to distance that name from this as much as they could. Everything on this, as far as the animation, is awkward. I mean, if these were just still hand-drawn things, they were really nice. There was these beautiful hand-drawn landscapes. Even the characters looked pretty cool. But the way they would do is they would just take like a line, split their mouth, and then move their mouth to make it look like it's talking. So it looks like it's just a warping mouth.
Ew.
But that's only when it did half the time. The other half, it would switch to this really, really low-quality 3D CGI models. Like, it looked like, you ever see that show Reboot? It looked like the characters from Reboot.
Oh, my God.
So it's just swapping between that and the other thing, and it was very hard to enjoy it. And between the two, it was still relatively still. I mean, obviously the ones where it's just moving the mouths, that's really still. But even when the motion ones, that was only when someone was like walking downstairs. There was no big fighting scenes. There was no epic wars. You barely ever even see Thor use his hammer. Everything about this movie is really awkward and boring. So much talking. I don't know if all these motion comics are like this, but they just talk and talk and talk. Loki specifically. Now, Loki is very different in this than he is in the Thor movie. Rather than being the really pretty boy, humanized, emo guy that he is, he's still very emo, but he's much more mutant looking. He's got these really jagged teeth and this messed up chin. He looks a lot more like the Frost Giants than he does like a human being. And he's also much more of a bastardized child. He's not treated like an equal brother like he was in the movie. He was casted out and he was treated like he was being held prisoner. And he's not an enjoyable character at all. Like I said, he just talks, and he doesn't even talk normal. He talks. You used the word Shakespearean earlier.
Yeah.
Loki in the Thor movie is not Shakespearean at all until you listen to this guy. Everything has to be enunciated and acted as if I am at Juliet's balcony. And everybody's talking like that. The Thor's talking like that. Sif's talking like that. They'll be in the middle of what they quote-unquote would call a battle, which is where they're standing there having full-on conversation, and every once in a while something would come up from the scene. They would just swing their sword at it, and it would fall back down.
I do what I want.
But my question is, who was the voice director? Well, it explains a lot.
Well, actually, what I found out through my quick search of Wikipedia is that according to the producer during a interview he did, he admitted that all the voice actors on the film were Broadway actors.
Okay, that explains a lot.
A really interesting choice.
Yes, it does, because you have to vocalize in Broadway.
And here's the funniest thing. All the Broadway actors that played on it used pseudonyms. So none of them wanted to go by their real names. That or he didn't want them to go by their real names. I don't know. Something weird happened.
It's almost like they were ashamed of the people who were involved with the project.
But yeah, just lots of talking and always in that exaggerated tone. It gets really draining. Like, there's not a single moment where the movie just slows down for a second and lets something settle in, or it ramps it up to where you can get really excited. It's just talking and talking and talking. The only benefit is it's short. This is a mini-series. It's 4 episodes. Each episode ranges from about 15 to 20 minutes apiece, including the beginning and end credits. I don't know. Maybe if you're into this kind of stuff, you could check it out and like it. I thought it was absolutely boring. Loki talked too goddamn much. He was not enjoyable. He was just a kind of a baby and a beast and a brat. And Thor, who's barely in the movie at all, I think he has like 5 lines, and they're all in flashback. The whole movie he's spent as a prisoner. He's a bully. He's just a big, mean bully. He's like Ryback, and he's like slapping Loki with his tuna. I don't know. There's no likable characters in it. You never see Odin. Sif is also imprisoned. Odin actually is there for like 10 seconds. He's also imprisoned. The mother is the only person who's not in prison, but she may as well be. She's kept under house arrest. And it's 4 episodes of Loki talking. That's all you get to see. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and spoil the end for you. After all this talking, it's all leading up to Loki's ultimate moment of redemption. He realizes, I don't need to fight with my brother. We can join together. We can rule this land and become the greatest dynasty of all time. He even stands up to this demon lady who's bribing him, saying, you have to kill Thor. You have to do it. This is going to be part of our agreement. He ends up turning her down in the end. And just as he's getting ready to go and share the news and say, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to join my brother. This is going to be great. Thor hulks up, powers out of his chains, shoots out of the top of the prison, lands on top of Loki. Loki's pleading with him, Thor, you must listen to me. I've learned. I've matured. I'm ready to do things right. Thor doesn't listen to him at all. He lifts up the hammer, squishes Loki's head, and it goes to black.
Oh, that's fucking shitty.
Now that sounds like a Loki file trap to me.
I gotta admit, I actually thought that ending was kind of cool. So the last 5 seconds is neat, and if I spoiled it for you and you're upset, I'm sorry. But trust me, you're not gonna want to watch this whole thing. Maybe like check out the first 10 minutes, or like maybe the first 6 minutes of the first episode, and the last 6 minutes of the last episode. That's probably all you really need to see.
Oh man. I might check that out. I'm not sure. Okay, Burhan, what did you subject yourself to, and what did you think?
I read the comic, so I decided not to watch it.
Okay.
The comic book is exactly like this, and I literally did not want to sit there and go on about Loki trying to find himself. If I wanted to watch Loki find Jesus, I would literally just, watch the Christian channel. It was stupid. They were using it in a sense, because this was actually a recently made comic as well, and it was done in a sense to make Loki more of a fan favorite in a sense, because people love the character. They like Tom Hiddleston's variation of the character, and they really wanted to see it. But for me, I don't see any appeal to it. There's no appeal to this whatsoever. So I decided against actually, and my judgment was good, watching the motion comic, because it would really bore me to death to the point where I would have to throw something at my television just to have something to do.
Okay.
So what was enjoyable about the comic though? Or was it?
Nothing.
It wasn't enjoyable.
No, it was so bad that I literally gave it away to someone as a present.
What a nice guy.
I don't know if it's because I hated it so much or because I wanted them to suffer. I don't know.
So let's write you off my Secret Santa list.
Oh.
Yes, I think you should. Otherwise, I'll be giving you some more of my terrible comics.
Ryan, my man.
Yes.
What did you cover and what did you think?
Well, I covered 3 topics here, mostly about video games. I'll start with the first one, the oldest topic, I guess you could say. There's this wonderful MMORPG video game for the PC, and I don't know if it's for the Mac as well, but I
think he means what did you think of the movie?
Ooh.
No. He is asking what he checked out.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yes. So it's a game called Marvel Heroes by Gazillion Entertainment, and I suppose it is supposed to be Marvel's answer to DC Universe Online and Champions Online, which are other superhero MMORPGs that are currently out and playable, where people create their own superheroes and play within DC's universe alongside favorites like Batman, Superman, other characters, or in Champion Online universe, which I don't really know their whole story. So with Marvel Hero, this is not exactly like the other 2 games I previously mentioned. This is actually more like if any of you played or remember Marvel Universe, Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Yes, Marvel Ultimate Alliance for the console games, where you played as a group of 3 or 4 heroes on basically, I don't know, it's like a top-down view of your characters, and you go around doing these linear story missions, and you can switch between these characters and make them interact with each other. Well, with Marvel Heroes, it's basically like that game, except you're playing as one character at a time. You can switch out your Marvel hero at any time you want if you have them. Basically, you have to buy the other heroes. You start off with one of 5 starter heroes, which they're going to increase the roster soon with other heroes. I don't know which heroes yet. They haven't announced it. But basically, you can buy these other heroes in their online store, or you can try to earn them through this in-game type of currency called Eternity Splinters, where you just collect these splinters and you can buy the heroes for yourself without having to actually pay for it. And it's a free-to-play online game. I mean, it's quite fun. It's a point-and-click type game where you're looking top-down, and you point and click, and it's point-and-click type combat. And it's kind of fun. It's really for the people who are into Marvel's characters and stories. It has an overarching story arc that was written by Brian Michael Bendis and a few other writers. And basically, right now, there's some new Asgardian story content that will be coming to the game, being released over the next 4 months, starting in early November, just in time for this new Thor film. It's geared for players levels 25 and up, and the Asgardian content contains the next chapters in the game's overarching story. It will begin with a 2-week third-wide event that will most likely unlock Asgard as a playable zone akin to the Stark or Avengers Tower, which is the main social hub for all the players, where they go out to the different other areas where they get their missions and play with each other. And players will get to battle frost giants or the Jotun if you are talking about Norse mythology, and also get to battle dark elves, which are, if I'm going to say this right, Svartalfar from Svartalheim. And you get to meet and team up with many of Asgard's colorful cast, even Beta Ray Bill, who's basically a horse-faced Thor-like knockoff from the comics. I guess he was an alien who got some version of Mjolnir, the hammer of Thor. Michael Byrne probably knows about that. I'm not too familiar with Beta Ray Bill myself.
He's another variation of Thor, in a sense. He did take over at some point, but he's more sort of like a galactic one. He's more in tone with like Silver Surfer and Galactus.
All right. Like I said, not too familiar with Beta Ray Bill, although he is an interesting character design, and when I saw him, it made me think of the Chitauri from the Avengers film, because they kind of had a similar design in their faces, at least. So additionally, Gazillion Entertainment will be debuting the first playable villain character for players. It's weird, though, the way that they worked in this villain's origin for the players. They kind of try and make him out to be like a vigilante or an anti-hero, not really a hero. You know, he's trying to do good, but he does it in his own special way. And this special character players will be able to play soon is Loki, Thor's evil half-brother. So, luckily, players can right now pre-order Loki for a 10% off pre-sale special of $17.99 and get a host of bonuses, including 2 character costumes, including the Dark World Fugitive costume as seen in the upcoming film, and the classic comic book costume, which looks like a jester to me. And then you also get a special Loki Hero Stash, which is an extra hero-specific inventory where you can store your additional costumes and other goodies. 3 fortune card items of increasing rank, and these fortune cards you grant random items upon use, including pets and costumes if you're lucky. And then 1 retcon device, which you can use to retcon. Basically, with Marvel Heroes, you can play as all these different characters and switch them out at any time. However, you're going along the story progression at the same time, so if one of your characters is level, say, 15 and the other one's level 24, I think this retcon device, what it basically does is it retcons only one of the characters.
Okay. Great. And let's see here. I'm trying to remember the title. What I looked over for tonight's episode is an animated film that was straight to DVD, and it is Thor: Tales of Asgard. This is a nice, really nice. It's short. It's about like just over an hour, and it's an origin story. basically, this is before Thor had his hammer. He had this sword, and it's called the Lost Sword of Surtur. And I can't remember. I don't know exactly how old he was. He was just like about in his late teens, I do believe. It was during a time when he and his brother were basically just starting to figure out their powers, as it were. And what happens in this film is, at the start of it, Thor's doing some sort of like an exhibition thing where he's trying to, he's in this fight with all these other guards and everything, just trying to show off for the crowd. But he finds out about this legendary sword, and he and Loki try to go after and find it and try to bring it back. They end up on that, what's the name of that ice planet? I forgot the name of it. It eludes me at the time. With all the ice giants.
Herrenthal or something?
Yeah. But anyways, after they recover the sword there, they get into this big fight on that planet where a couple of the giants were killed, and then the king of that world declares war on Asgard. And it's really good. I really enjoyed it. It's great to see films nowadays, although they're direct to DVD, where it's hand-drawn animation. I really enjoy that type of art style. The voice acting was really good. I mean, he even had one of my all-time favorite voice actresses of all time, Tara Strong, playing Sif. And she did a remarkable job, I think. The voice cast itself is fantastic. I really enjoyed the thing, and in fact, I saw it on Netflix, and definitely going to watch this again. Really great story, and it definitely sets up the whole universe, I think, for Thor later on in terms of like the movies, the other comic books, and everything. It's a really good origin story.
I am so jealous that you got to watch something enjoyable.
I feel bad for you, Peyton. I mean, I definitely would have, if I would have known there was going to be such a pain in the ass for you to watch that, like this pulling teeth.
Listen, I got to admit, I thought that this was going to be the better one. I was like, oh, cool, a little 4-episode miniseries, and it's specifically about Thor and Loki being like brothers that got to try to fight and get together, and then fight and get together. This sounds awesome. No, the description made it sound so much cooler than it was.
Well, there you go. But I love this. Go ahead.
No, you finish up.
I was just going to say, I just love the box art for this movie, because at the very bottom it says, before the hammer came the sword.
Yeah, I like that tagline too. Yeah, when I was doing research for possible things we could do for Thor, that one jumped out to me absolutely. And then the Blood Brothers, I chose wrong with which one I wanted to do.
But I'll tell you what, is Blood Brothers still on Netflix?
I have no idea. I watched it from Somalia.
Okay. All right, well, I definitely will check it out and see how terrible that is. But regardless, I think I really definitely will get this officially on DVD. I mean, I rented it on Netflix to the digital.
Wow, is that good, huh?
It was great.
Was it better than the live action film?
I seriously think, God, that's tough. That's really tough. I like them both about the same, but I'm going to lean just a little more towards the animated film because it's more of an origin story. Yeah. But all that being said, great job, gentlemen, going over all these subjects.
Well, I have one big question I want to ask here, and I think this is something that's doesn't have a solid answer. Mm-hmm. Is Loki evil?
Yes.
It's hard to say because it seems like he does kind of have that inner struggle, whether he wants to be a good guy or he wants to be this, major asshole.
No, he is the asshole.
What I take away from him is there's got to be some sort of an inner struggle with him, I think.
He seems like he just needs a hug.
He does.
Yeah, that's what he's always been. He's been very frustrated and angry. A lot of it is because you don't really know that Loki was taken away from his actual parents. He's not... Odin's not... was it Odin? Yeah, he's not his father. basically.
Right.
And then he had Loki was birthed from like Asgardian parents, whereas Thor was birthed partly from a human mother. So there's that jealousy there. He wants to. The initial premise of Loki was he wanted to rule Asgard. That's what his thing was. Now because of the way he was portrayed in the 4 movies, it's we've got to humanize him now. He's misunderstood. No, he's not fucking misunderstood. He's evil. He's the trickster. He's the guy who will turn you into a pig and laugh at it. That's what Loki does. Loki has never been a good guy. And when they've gone after it now and they're trying to make him all this nice person, clean cut, it just doesn't work. That's not the way. That's not who he is. That's never who Loki was. That's like trying to redeem Doc Ock. Oh, wait.
Well, just because it's something different doesn't mean it's not something that can work. I mean, look how popular Loki is now because of how they portrayed him in that film. People find him much more relatable and enjoyable. Because I gotta tell you, I did not enjoy the Loki that I saw in Blood Brothers. He's
enjoyable, but he should still be. He's Thor's main villain. He's the guy who's Thor's nemesis. He always will be. There always will be at odds. That's the conflict between these two guys. Trying to change that and turn them into brotherly brothers, it's just not going to work.
Well, I think it has to be one of those things where it's crossing the line back and forth. Like they can have times where they cross each other's trust, and there's times where it's like, well, we're brothers, we can put this behind us, and we have to work together to do this. I think that's completely realistic.
Yeah, no, I understand that, and like all good villains, you're always going to work with your villain sometimes to get rid of a bigger evil, in a sense.
They could always create. I mean, the movies is its own thing. They could create a new villain if they wanted to, if they had to find a new main villain for Thor to face against. But more importantly, it's part of this overarching storyline where Thor doesn't even need to have a main villain. The overarching story has a main villain.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
Which at this point, who knows who the hell that is?
Well, okay. With all that being said, guys, I think it's time to have a break here.
I did have 2 more points if you want me to blast through those real quick. Of course, always about Thor here. Like I said, I had 3 points originally, a couple of them about video games. The second one is about the Lego Marvel Superheroes game for the Wii U, PC, PS3, Xbox 360, PS4, and Xbox One. So choose your poison. So basically, you can. This game is pretty amazing. It has over 150 playable characters as your favorite little Lego minifigures, including this list of Asgardians here. We have Thor, Loki, the Destroyer as a minifigure, a Frost Giant, who ironically a minifigure, Heimdall, Curse, Malekith, and other characters in the DLC packs, including Beta Ray Bill, Fandral, Hogan, Volstagg, Jane Foster, Odin, and Sif. One of the many scenic locations players can travel through the game's main story includes a frostbitten Asgard, where they can battle Loki and the Destroyer after smashing hordes of frost giants. The overall game is nothing small to leave out either. It has a lot of cool content, including a playable Stan Lee character, who embodies several of Marvel's famous superhero powers, such as turning into a Hulk or web slinging. There's also there's hours of content, so you're not going to be bored with this game. They have great graphics, fresh humor, plus a lot of special in-jokes if you watch the movies or read some of the comics. A very compelling story. It's a pretty great story I've played so far. Aside from the video game, there's today Marvel debuted on their website, on the Disney website, and on several other websites and services, including Marvel and Disney's YouTube channels, Disney's Roku, Xbox Connected TV apps, and Netflix. They debuted a 5-video CG animated series of Lego Marvel superheroes Maximum Overload, starring the Asgardian superstars Thor and Loki. It's a 5-episode video series. Loki is the main villain, and basically he's supercharging some of Earth's mightiest villains to enact his own form of mischief on the heroes. It's pretty funny stuff, actually. I was surprised at, because you know how sometimes Marvel can go overboard with the cutesy and funny in-joke type stuff, but this is actually refreshingly funny, all the jokes in this series. So I do recommend checking both the video game for Lego Marvel Superheroes and this 5-episode series.
Okay. I definitely will check that out. What do you guys think of that?
I love the Lego games. I most recently had a very huge addiction to Lego City Undercover. And it seems like every time, whatever subject matter that they take on, they knock it out of the park, especially now that they include voice acting. Because before, I had the Lego Indiana Jones game, and it was fun, especially multiplayer and all that, but the cutscenes, it was really tough to get into them. Yeah, there was some funny little hijinks and slapstick that happened during them, but you can only get so interested when the sound effects are, But now that they have actual voices, I believe Batman 2 was the first one to actually have voice acting in it. And then Lego City Undercover, they knocked it out of the park with all the characters they created and the people that they got on to do the voices. Not like big names, but just how they captured the art of the role for everything they did. Fantastic work that they do there. So I'm not surprised that you're having so much fun playing that game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've tried playing... the first Lego game I think I've ever played for the consoles was Nintendo 64's Lego Racer game, and I remember that being fun. But one of the contemporary Lego games that they started making was I think it was a trial version of the Lego Indiana Jones game, and I tried to get into that, but it wasn't. I mean, back then they didn't have the voice acting, and I didn't really connect with it. And I haven't really trusted Lego games since then. But as soon as I heard that I could play my favorite characters, Venom and Moon Knight and Carnage and Superior Spider-Man, in this game, I'm like, I'll give it a try. And I was pleasantly surprised at the quality of this game. It was quite fun.
And if it plays anything like Lego Batman 2 DC Superheroes, and I'm in. I'm sold.
All right, guys, so I think it's a good time. We're going to take a short break. We're just going to recuperate ourselves, get a little refreshment, whatever we got to do. You can do the same. And when we come back, we're just going to be talking about random stuff in the world of geek. So we'll come back soon here on the Geek Speak Live on Mega Powers Radio.
Hey, all right. All right, sorry about that, guys. Oh, man, that was terrible. I had myself on mute. I was talking the whole time, and my mic was on mute. Okay, it's a facepalm moment here on Geek Speak Live on MakeAPowersRadio.com. If you guys are listening out there, and I'm sure you are, and you want to comment on anything we've discussed, or if you want to chime on anything that you want to talk about, give us a call at 760-512-7247.
Indeed.
All right, so floor is open, gentlemen. What's going on?
Well, Orion, since you're our first-time guest, why don't you take over? I know you had a couple things you wanted to dig into.
Actually, just one thing, maybe two things. Recently, within the last couple days, the Kickstarter had ended quite successfully. I had written about this back in October 4th. It's a Kickstarter called City of Titans, the Phoenix Project. It was put on by Missing Worlds Media, And it's basically a Kickstarter for a superhero MMORPG that is meant to be the spiritual successor of City of Heroes by NCSoft. Unfortunately, City of Heroes was shut down by its producer, NCSoft, back in November 2012. So after a year of being gone, these fans of the game and players decided to get together and tried to create the next City of Heroes, basically. And they got their ideas together. They submitted a Kickstarter. It's a quite successful one, too, because of everything they put out there for the backers to see about the game. Like, they put out a lot of updates about the lore, about their plans for music, for graphics, and all that. And they basically made their $320,000 pledge goal within 5 days of the 33-day campaign. Pretty amazing to see all the support. What ended up happening, though, is that by the end of this campaign, which was yesterday or the day before, depending on where you live, they reached over 200% of their initial pledge goal of that $320,000. They raised $678,189 with 5,003 backers.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like they blew it right out of the park, and they had set up all these different stretch goals that they accomplished less than half of the stretch goals, but that's fine because the stretch goals that we did accomplish, they promise a lot of really cool things for the game when it finally comes out. They currently have this. They don't have a game yet. They're still working on getting all the necessary tools because they are players. They're not really professionals in the game-making industry, although they are trying to get some help from professionals and are receiving some tips about how to make a game. And the funding was all this Kickstarter business was for them to buy all the necessary tools to create a game. And basically they made the goal well before its end date. And with all of the additional funding, they say they're able to give us even more content for when the game launches. And one of the coolest parts, one of the coolest promises that they're giving us is that we'll be able to play with their character creator before the game actually launches. So we can create our own superheroes and supervillains way before the game is actually finished. And two of the stretch goals was two of the earliest stretch goals was a Android and iOS port for the character creator. So you can basically create your characters on your phone or tablet and then port that into the game once it comes out.
Wow. That's amazing, though. I mean, they both pretty much funded the game and then some. So I imagine they're going to really turn this thing into something spectacular.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, I wrote the article about it back when it started out in October 4th. If you just go to my article on the Fanboys Anonymous site, it's under the video game section. Find my article, and I included the link to the Kickstarter, even though the Kickstarter is now ended and you can't fund anymore. You can go on there, and they have all the updates they were posting every single day about their plans for this game. And it's quite amazing, all the plans they have, all this work they put into planning the game. And you can really see the game starting to flesh out. And it's going to be very exciting when it actually does come out.
Indeed. And before we continue here, we have another person who has just joined our panel. Ladies and gentlemen, the co-founder, the founder of fanboysanonymous.com and a lot of other really great things. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Anthony Mango.
The other founder is Tony Mango. But I hate that guy.
I love Tony Mango. You suck.
At least he's not Coney Mango.
Yeah.
How's it going tonight?
Yes, I am here.
How you doing tonight, Tony?
Not too bad, not too bad. How is everybody else doing tonight?
Good.
Absolutely tremendous.
Lovely. Urge to go and watch Tango and Cash now.
I'm sweating bullets here because it's the first time I've ever hosted a show on MegaPowersRadio.com. So far, I think I'm doing an okay job, I gotta admit.
Sounds good from my end.
All right. So what brings you on, Tony?
I heard you guys talk about Thor, and thankfully I have the time that I can start, ripping it up Mjolnir style.
Actually, we were talking about My Little Pony.
Ah, man, I only have about, 2 hours worth of stuff to talk about with My Little Pony.
Mango is such a brony.
You took the words out of my mouth.
Brony Mango?
Brony, you got to give me to it. I would hate myself if that was true.
All right, well, I mean, what do you got to say about Thor, man? I mean, we already went through the movies. I watched a motion comic called Thor and Loki Blood Brothers, which was absolutely awful. Travis watched the animated film, what was it called? Thor Tales of Asgard.
That's right.
And Orion talked about a number of games. I couldn't even tell about all. And one of them was Marvel Lego Superheroes, I believe it was.
Yes, the Lego Superheroes, the Marvel Heroes MMO, and Marvel Lego Superheroes Maximum Overload, the CG animated series that just debuted today online.
Yeah, all that. So, Tony, you got anything you want to say about those, or perhaps some other Thor properties that you've become a fan of?
I haven't really had too much experience when it comes to the video games or a lot of the animated things. I did watch one animated movie that they had, more so an animated short. I think it was Hulk versus Thor.
Oh, yes.
The whole versus set.
Yeah, they had the one with the Deadpool, one the Wolverine, and all that other kind of stuff. And the main thing with Thor that I've always had, from my perspective, is Thor is one of those characters that I both love and I hate. And the main reason why I love Thor is because it works so perfectly. I mean, it's built with this mythology, of course, behind it, and that makes it a lot easier for them to kind of have a good foundation to start from. But at the same time, because of that mythology, it's just sometimes I can't sink my teeth into it. I'm one of those people that loves Batman and Superman and Spider-Man and all that. But when it comes to Norse gods and all that, I'm not the biggest fanboy of that perspective. So if you start getting into the hardcore Thor stuff, where you're actually breaking down the dark elves and, you got Ulick the troll and all that, I tune out after that. But the very idea of Loki and Thor is perhaps the principal thing that I like about the Thor series, whether it's the animated show or the animated movies or the films that we have going on now. And I think that actually kind of shows in a way that the movies are treating Loki. It's almost as if Thor depends on Loki, because Thor by himself is that kind of a character where people look at it and they go, well, it's kind of boring. It's got a bit of a Superman effect, and it's got a bit of that nerdy overload that a lot of people have with Lord of the Rings and everything. So it's a turnoff for a lot of people, and I was one of those people that when they announced that they were going to go with Thor and Captain America and everybody for the Avengers, I was like, oh man, Captain America should really be good, and Iron Man, that should kick ass, and Hulk, that'll be awesome. Thor, well, I'll watch it. But lo and behold, I ended up actually liking that far better than Captain America, far better than Incredible Hulk, far better than Iron Man 2, and I would say even better than Iron Man 3.
Just out of curiosity, who did young Tony would have rather seen than Thor in that spot?
You know what? I don't know. Well, ideally Spider-Man or the X-Men, but of course that's, that whole contractual issue. Other people that they had available to them, I don't know if I actually would have even picked anybody else. maybe somebody like Daredevil or whatever, but, little Tony didn't understand the whole mechanics of you have to balance things out and stuff.
Imagine if Ben Affleck was in both the Avengers and the Justice League. Oh, my gosh.
Then it would start, we have enough people that already think that Spider-Man and the X-Men universes are going to cross over with, Fantastic Four and the Avengers and everything, and you just can't tell them no enough. Imagine what would happen with that.
Interestingly,
it would be like, we're going to get Avengers versus the Justice League, and Batman's going to fight Daredevil, and the whole universe is going to collapse because it's the same guy.
Interestingly, the Spider-Man, at least the Amazing Spider-Man, and the Avengers almost crossed over when the Oscorp Tower was originally planned to have appeared in the skyline of New York in the Avengers.
How awesome would that have been? I mean, I probably wouldn't have noticed it, but still. I didn't notice the Wayne Enterprises thing in Man of Steel either, and that was one of the only things that I liked about that movie. But yeah, Thor's one of those kind of characters that I don't have a huge appreciation for outside of the movies, but when the movies come, it's something I'm really excited about. I'm really excited about this one I'm going to be seeing in the next, 2 days now, I think it is.
What, Friday does it come out, or Thursday?
Friday.
That whole midnight Thursday.
Unless you're Thursday, midnight Thursday.
Actually, I think I got a movie that's coming out at 9 o'clock or something on Thursday. I don't know how that's legal.
No, I think they bumped it up. Midnight releases aren't midnight anymore. It's kind of like, Black Friday is not actually Friday anymore. It's Thanksgiving.
They're using the Black Friday rule for Thor.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the very dark world with Black Friday.
I'm pretty excited to see it too.
I don't think it's going to be as good as Captain America, though.
I didn't see the new Captain America.
Well, it hasn't come out yet.
Oh, okay.
That's why you didn't see
the
it.
Trailer?
Yeah, that would make sense.
Oh, yeah, that trailer for Captain America 2. Oh, my gosh. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, Winter Soldier looks very good. It looks like it's a role reversal. Last time Thor was better than Cap. I think Cap's being better than Thor this time.
As if one helicarrier was enough.
You can never have too many helicarriers.
So I just saw a movie the other night. I don't know if any of you guys have seen it. It also stars an Avenger, the guy who played Hawkeye, Jeremy Renner. It's called The Town. Have you guys seen it?
No.
It stars... What?
Yeah, no, I'll say I just don't rate Renner at all.
Okay.
He's extremely bland. But yeah, go on.
Well, you have not been looking at him correctly because he was awesome in The Avengers. He was even more awesome in this. And actually, it's funny because the other star of the movie was Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck and Jeremy Renner. It was
Batman and Hawkeye.
It was subtly a mafioso movie, but it was really more just about these two Irish guys growing up in Boston who found themselves into the life of crime, but they want to get out of it. Specifically, this one guy, he is doing a bank job. He ends up falling in love with one of the girls at the tellers. He sneaks in and tries to become part of her life and starts dating her. And it just goes on from there. It's a typical story. People start finding out what he's doing and find out that he was the guy who robbed the bank. So he's got FBI coming for him. He's got Italian guys coming for him. And it's his fight to get those people off his back and ultimately get the girl and yada, yada, yada. It was a fantastic movie. Really enjoyable. Ben Affleck actually, I believe, also wrote and directed it. So yeah. I have not been fully aware of everything that Ben Affleck's been doing as far as directing style. I know he did win a number of awards for that Argo movie, but this was excellent, and I recommend anyone to go check that one out.
I'll do you 2 extra ones on top of that. Instead of just Jeremy Renner and Ben Affleck, the 2 principal women in the cast, you have Blake Lively, who was Carol Ferris in Green Lantern. And I can't remember her name, Rebecca Hall, I think is what it is. She was Maya Hansen in Iron Man 3.
Okay. So the women were pretty good, actually. Specifically the love interest, the brunette woman.
Additionally, before I forget, another Thor topic. If anyone out there is following it right now, Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the TV show that's based on the Marvel Cinematic Universe after the Avengers, the episode tonight is a Thor: The Dark World tie-in. I have not seen it yet to confirm this, but that is what Marvel is claiming it to be.
I actually had it on in the background as we were doing this, and I didn't get a complete diagnosis of what was going on, but I did see Thor. Thor does appear tonight's episode. I can tell you that. You will see Thor on your screen if you watch tonight's episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Is he actually on TV, or did they just insert a picture of him or a video of him somewhere?
No, it looked like it was actually him. Like, he came onto the streets and he was fighting some bad guys off, and then next thing I knew, he was gone. But he was there.
Okay.
Oh, it must be like maybe almost flashback, but they filmed it just for this.
It could be. It might have been something like they knew in advance that they were doing. It's like, hey, just come over here to the green screen for a second. Let's just get some shots, and then they have it.
Very sure it's Thor, not Beta Ray Bill. Chris Hemsworth instead of some weird-ass horse alien thing.
It was his stunt double.
I thought Chris Hemsworth was Beta Ray Bill.
It might as well be. He's a bankable star now.
Oh, so what else has been going on, guys?
Not a whole lot's been going on with me personally, but I did get a game from that I bought off of eBay last week.
And what game was that?
Star Wars Rebel Assault for the Sega CD.
Uh-huh, and how's that going? Sega CD? What the...
I know, what the fuck, right? I'm sorry.
I thought I was out of date getting a PS3.
Well, as anybody knows from my shows, which I'll plug later on, I am a big fan of retro games, and this is the game that I loved when I was a kid, and I finally got my own copy of it because it was originally my late brother's. He introduced me to that game. Might do a review about it, but I gotta tell you though, I know that it's a 20-year-old game, but the game handles like shit today. It is sloppy controls, and the music is still kind of good, although it's a little grainy. But man, when I fired the thing up to the Sega CD, I thought, oh man, I get to play this again. And I started playing it. And the first thing I thought was, why the fuck did I buy this? This game handles like shit. Oh. It's terrible. But, I mean, I still play it for nostalgic purposes. I like the cutscenes. The voice acting is a little, I think the game's not the most fun thing to play. But the voice acting, I'm trying to think of a nice word to say. It's a Star Wars game. No, seriously. The voice acting in the game is terrible. I mean, I don't know who... Does anybody wonder, like, back in the day when they were making these CD-ROM games, FMVs or anything of that nature, where in the hell did they get the talent for some of these games back then?
Microsoft Sam?
Craigslist.
It was Craigslist in 1993?
I mean, it still looks like it was made in 1993, so I assume so.
Touche.
No, they dude named Craig.
No, they would just call they would just call an agency and they'd send over some entry level guy who's just desperate for work, and that's usually the people that would get jobs like that.
Yeah, and it was amazing to play that game and realize that it was very limited in colors to what they could possibly show on the screen. The whole game is run as a full-length FMV, and all you have to do is pilot your craft all throughout the level and try not to hit anything and all that other stuff. But I will say that the sequel that came out years later, Rebel Assault 2, was a big improvement, but they still did not update the controls for that thing. The controls was still crappy. But they used like actual actors in the sequel. The first one, they used to like this random stills, and they just try to animate them. But in the sequel, it was actual film that they specifically shot for the game. But regardless, yeah, that's what's been new for me this past week in terms of anything entertaining. And of course, this past Saturday was my birthday. What up?
Joyous Spawn Day.
Yeah. That's not a bad idea. But no, that's pretty much everything that's going on in my world.
Call of Duty Ghosts came out today, and I haven't gotten all the details about this, but apparently there is a huge controversy going down as far as the PC release. I'm trying to get a look at it now. As far as from what I'm hearing, though, most people buying it are not able to get the game working.
Oh my god! That's funny.
From what it's coming out, it looks like you have to have exactly 6 gigabytes of RAM. and if you have any less or any more, the game will not run.
No.
Do you think that's even crazier about this is the people who are able to get it to run and they're running like bench checks, they're never seeing it require more than 2 gigabytes of RAM.
Jeez.
some weird things went down here, and of course all the fingers can be pointed to the usual excuse. They're pushing these games out too fast, and as a matter of fact, I don't even think they were supposed to have a PC version of this game, and they decided at the last minute, why don't we do it? So they ported it over, and obviously this is the result of it.
Well, it was made on a PC to begin with. That's how most of these games are sort of made. It happens. There's not really much else I can say. Apparently, you can't even upload footage of it on YouTube because it doesn't look sexy enough for them. They'll resolve it, hopefully, and hopefully people will be compensated. Also this week, we are getting our GTA 5 stimulus package.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So that's going to be a good thing. I'm looking forward to that. There was a glitch I've been using for the last couple of days that I perfected. So if you guys want to check that out, youtube.com/TheNerdGenius. I was playing around with that. I'm currently playing Pokemon for some weird reason. It's in my hand. Playing Leaf Green. And what else is there in the news? I'm currently checking out this guy called Man at Arms. He built a Mjolnir himself and went and smashed stuff with it. Smashy, smashy. Smashy, smashy. And that's pretty much it on my side. This Thursday I'm going to be going to see Thor: The Dark World with my bro, and we're going to upload a review as well of it.
I've been continually playing Grand Theft Auto 5. I finally went and entered my code to get the blimp. I've just had it sitting in the box all this time, and it is a lot of fun. Just like chilling out in the air in the blimp. Like if I ever got to just go up to the air and chill out for a while I do some other activity in the room, but I still know I'm going to be coming back and playing in the next 5-10 minutes, so I don't want to shut the system down. I'll just get a blimp and I'll just go and chill up in the air and enjoy the view. It's cool.
That game astounds me, and I haven't even played it.
I also I've also been playing a lot of WWE 2K14 because I'm a huge wrestling nerd. As anyone who listens to other shows on the station probably can figure out. The game, I wish these games weren't so gosh darn buggy, so I could be prouder of saying that I play them. But they as good as this game is, it completely nullifies it by how buggy it is as well. I mean, I got sounds that are not happening. The announcer is supposed to be announcing that the match is happening, and he says all the rules, but it's not doing anything. It's just absolutely quiet, and it's just jumping between a guy standing in the ring in a tuxedo and shots at the crowd. So unless I'm paying attention to where I hit the X button to skip past it quick, there's just this awkward thing going on my TV. Heads spin around like in The Exorcist, like if someone's running, like their head will just stay focused on you wherever they're running, so it'll just completely go around their body. It's creepy and absolutely disturbing. And I don't know, I just feel like last game I played was WWE 12. I feel like things have not advanced that much for it, especially considering that we've gone to a new publisher. Of course, with the closing of THQ, 2K Sports picked up the game. And yeah, of course, you're still going to have a lot of the leftover, but I don't know. I was hoping at least they could clean a lot of those things up, and that would be the focus of getting this out. But instead, it was more about menu screens looking better, which they did dramatically improve, because that was always one of the other things that the WWE games had horrible problems with, was their menu screens, and especially the warning telling you that it was going to be auto-saving. That was so gosh darn annoying, and they finally got rid of that. So kudos to them for those.
Okay. Let's see here. Who else needs to talk here? Orion. Anybody? Actually, is anybody else got anything they wanted to add here?
I want to play WWE 2K14.
Actually, I sort of do too. I mean, I'm not a big wrestling fan, but I've seen this game in action. I've seen some clips of it online, like the previews and everything, and this game looks solid. Yeah, it looks so good.
The creation tools are fun enough to play for anybody. I mean, creating your own wrestler, creating your own arena, creating title belts, creating stories. You can just create and create and create in this game, never wrestle a match, and spend hundreds of hours playing it.
I just want to see one of the real wrestlers spin their head around like that.
I should hook up my my recorder and try to get some footage while I'm doing this before they patch it. If they patch it, which they probably won't.
That'd be hilarious, Kane just spinning his head around.
The first person it happened with, actually, who was it? I want to say it was like, I think it was Warrior, because it was Warrior, and he had like the face paint and the crazy frizzy hair, and he ran and it was just his head spinning around. It terrified me.
Are you sure it's not just built into the character, the way that he acts?
You sure that didn't actually happen at WrestleMania 6? Because I think I remember that.
It's not a glitch, it's an achievement. Some kind of an objective in there, get Warrior to freak out.
Now, my question is, in the roster for this game, is Iron Sheik in there at all?
No, but the beautiful thing is that there's an excellent online community creation community. So you can find almost anybody you're looking for, and I've already downloaded a very good Iron Sheik.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Who's... Now, the roster in this game, I'm assuming it's...
Fucking bullshit!
Yeah, that's it. No, I mean, this spans all the way from the past, 30 years of what was then the WWF and now the WWE?
Well, yeah, the theme of it is that it follows the 30 years of WrestleMania. So it's a celebration of WrestleMania 30, which is happening in April. And it has various moments from each WrestleMania. So you're doing at least one match that happened at every single WrestleMania. So the roster, including having a very great roster of present-day stars, has one of the best retro rosters it's ever had. You got Hogan, you got Warrior, you got Rock, you got Austin, you got HBK, you got Diesel, you got Razor Ramon, you got Ric Flair, you got Ricky Steamboat. And that's just the people that are included. Like I said, you go on the Creative Wrestler, you're going to find Sting, you're going to find the Dudley Boys, you're finding the Hardy Boys, you're finding whoever else you could possibly... You could look for Superman and Batman. I have a Batman character, and he comes out to the Batman Returns theme, and it's so epic.
Oh, that is awesome. Wow.
Does he start breaking people's necks like Superman does?
No, but I should give him the neck breaker. That could be his move.
You should, and then it'll spin the character's head completely around like Zod, and we're back in the beginning.
And all of his promos are going to be, where are they? Why aren't you playing Arkham Origins? Why aren't you playing Arkham Origins?
I love Batman.
Anyone else have anything? Because I have one last bit of big news, but I wanted to save it for last.
I don't have anything.
No one?
Yeah, I'm fresh out.
Not too much going on my side of things. I mean, trying to catch up on all my TV, doing miserably at catching up on it, now that apparently Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s been going on and I missed that. Fighting back tears on How I Met Your Mother again. I love that. I'm totally Ted Mosby. But trying to catch up on that. Watched my latest episode of Fat Man on Batman, Kevin Smith's podcast, where I wrote up a little thing about it on Fanboys. He had a full-on discussion with Paul Dini, one of the best Batman scribes out there, for my money, about a TV pilot that they would pitch for a young Bruce Wayne going through Bloodhaven Academy and everything. And it's just phenomenal. They go through what could be 5 whole seasons worth of storylines in maybe a half hour, and it's amazing. Anybody who's a Batman fan, definitely go check that out. And man, if that was a TV show, I would watch the hell out of that.
Heck, sounds like something I want to do for Moon Knight and Venom.
Well, I have a TV show that you're all going to have to get prepared to watch. So, this era is absolutely dominated by sequels, prequels, reboots, and all things of that nature. You guys can certainly, you're not going to argue against that, I'm sure, right?
Right.
Now, some of them have been worth it. Some of them have been better than their predecessors, or at least equal or cool in their own way. Some of them have been absolutely awful. But today, while I was at work, I learned about what's going to be in production. Possibly the greatest reboot to ever be rebooted. You know what it is?
Drum
Reboot.
roll, please. Oh, no. No. You can't be serious.
I think I'm the only one that's lost.
Is Bob Saget in this one?
That is Full House.
No.
Not a lot of details on it at this point, except that what the basic story is going to be is it's going to be following DJ and Stephanie Tanner, where they are these days, and what their current living arrangements are. They do say that a number of the cast members have re-signed, including John Stamos.
Okay.
It looks exactly the same now as it did before anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And they haven't said what the living arrangement's going to be, but considering it's supposed to be following up on the Full House formula, you have to imagine there's going to be more people in that house than DJ and Stephanie Tanner. Yeah.
I
need a drink right now. What the fuck? Why?
Is Venom in it?
Please tell me they're calling it Fuller House. Or more Full House.
Full Houser.
Yeah.
At capacity house.
Okay, here's my question. Are they going to start each and every episode with what Michelle is doing? Since that's what they did for pretty much throughout the whole damn series?
No, I don't think they're very proud about what Michelle's been doing.
Maybe they'll end it the way that they ended every episode, where it was just like that overly heavy-handed, but I still love you and whatever, I love you too. Now let's go get some pie. Okay, let's run down the stairs. Do 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 do.
You can have like the rock and strudel.
Oh my! I just.
Indeed.
Okay, granted, Full House may have been pretty popular, but I want more Perfect Strangers. Why isn't that getting a reboot?
Because they're too estranged.
They could have what's his name, Borat, be the Balky.
No, it won't work.
I just want a reboot of The Cape.
No, guys. This was the news I heard at work, and I first checked online, and I saw that there were a number of websites reporting it. However, as the day went on, some news stories came out, and it found that this was, in fact, a hoax.
Thank God.
Yeah, no Full House reboot coming. It was all a lie. Someone wanted to get a ruse.
But they are going to do Imperfect Strangers, so you're in luck.
Oh, gosh.
Or a reboot of Step by Step.
Ooh, baby.
Gonna get to you good.
If you're bringing back all those old TV shows like that, why not bring back Urkel?
Well, I want to say this. I know they're going to be coming out with the Sonic the Hedgehog CG cartoon. They always have him recasted.
Why don't they bring back Webster?
Sonic.
Webster was a good show.
Webster was good.
Bring back Webster. So what's Webster doing now? I bet he's still the same size.
What's Freakazoid doing?
Oh, that'd be a great idea. Bring back Freakazoid.
I say bring back Batman Beyond.
Or how about Pete and Pete?
Batman Beyond.
These two middle-aged gingers, like, just trying to get through the day.
They're like, did we ever figure out Mom's plate in her head? No. Why not? We don't have a job. We have nothing else better to do.
I just want to see if Clarissa still explained it all.
She explained it all.
Clarissa shows it all.
Are you still afraid of the dark after all these years? You're a grown man. Get over it.
Are you afraid of the darker?
Wait, you still can't do that on television.
They're like, we're turning this on its head. It's, are you afraid of the light?
Kids still say the funniest things. My dad's a drunk.
All right, guys. I think this has been a good show.
Yeah, we just pretty much put a fork in it right there.
I got one more. Rocco's postmodern life.
Clever, I love it. Trying to think of one. I think of one for Rugrats, but I think probably call it Adults.
You mean All Grown Up? Oh yeah, that was terrible.
How about All Senile?
They do a prequel. They're just fetuses.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, before we end this wonderful show, I guess, let's get some plugs out of the way. Tony, lay it on us.
All right, well, I shouldn't really have to say it, but I will anyway, because screw it, I'm used to saying it. FanboysAnonymous.com, your source for all things geek. You can check out, if you're interested in the wrestling side of things, my wrestling website, smarkoutmoment.com, and the podcast that goes along with it, Smack Talk on youtube.com/smarkoutmoment, as well as iTunes and Stitcher. I also write for Bleacher Report, and you can find everything else under A Mango Tree by searching for my name and A Mango Tree itself.
He lives in a tree.
Cool. He lives in a tree. Okay, Burhan, what do you got?
Nerdgenius.com, www.fanboysanonymous.com as well, for all things geek, of course. I write loads of articles in there. Currently got the article on the glitch I found from GTA 5. And check out youtube.com/TheNerdGenius, and also Enigma Entertainment, my film production company. We're going to be coming out with we've got a few films coming out in the next couple of months, and are working on episode 3 of This Job for Hire, so check that out, guys. It's so good, Chris Jericho wants to steal it. And that's pretty much it. Oh, yeah, I got gameplay 8 p.m. every Saturday on Mega Powers Radio.
Cool. Orion, what about you?
Well, like Fanboys Anonymous, great site. I love it. I love writing for it. It's all things geek. And also, if you love little black puddles of goo that might take over you, please visit the Venom site, where you can find all your information about Venom and everything symbiote in the Marvel Universe.
Excellent. I'm going to go check that out later on. My good man, Peyton, what about you?
Well, if you'd like to follow me on your social network of choice, you can do so by finding the handle MRPADEN. That's Mr. Payton. That's on Twitter. That's on Facebook. Just recently, I joined LinkedIn. Yeah, I'm a professional now, I guess. That makes you professional, right, being on LinkedIn. Also on Instagram. And please stay tuned to everything we got going on here on Mega Powers Radio at megapowersradio.com. Follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/megapowersradio. Check out all the archive stuff we got at youtube.com/megapowersradio, as well as this show and many others that appear on fanboysanonymous.com. Just recently, we also put this show that is now available on iTunes and Stitcher. So you can find us by searching for Geek Speak on either of those, and you will find us. iTunes, we should be, I think it's like the 7th or 8th one down there. We're a little buried right now, but we're going to work our way up as we get more subscribers. We're the one with the green and blue logo. You'll be able to find us based on that. And on Stitcher, we're right there at the top. You search Geek Speak, we're there. You can listen to us. All of our new episodes will be downloaded automatically. But hey, if you really want to get the Geek Speak experience, tune in every Tuesday, 8 p.m., where we will be going live talking about whatever awesome subject we got that week. We'll be talking about movies, video games, comic books, whatever the heck we decide to. And you can join in the fun on the phone, in the chat room, on Twitter, and all these other cool places. It's been a blast, guys.
Excellent. And I'll go and get my plugs out of the way. Okay, on YouTube, I have 2 different channels. If you go to www.youtube.com/rose-colored-reviews, I host a show by the same name. This is a show where I take a look at classic video games, television shows, and movies, and through rose-colored lenses, I see if they still stand the test of time. And I have another YouTube show, like I mentioned, and that's at www.youtube.com/rose-colored-let's-play. The show where I play classic video games, commentate on them as I play them, and see if they're still worth your time. And let's see here. And also, you can check out my Facebook page. I have available. It's www.facebook.com/rose-colored-reviews. I'm on Twitter with the handle of TravisGoss79. If you want to get a hold of me personally, get a hold of me at travis.goss@megapowersradio.com. And on Saturday nights, one of the cohorts of Michael Burhan's show, I Got Gameplay. And that's on Saturday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern. And I think that's pretty much it. So, on behalf of everybody on the panel, Mike Payton, Michael Burhan, Anthony Mango, and Orion, thank you for tuning in this. What's that?
Me.
Yeah, you.
Me.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's edition of Geek Speak Live.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
I'm gonna make him an offer again.
Of the juggernaut, bitch!
It's not a tumor. You are tearing me apart, Lisa!
I am this motherfucking plane!
Two chicks at the same time.
I am the law!
When you play the Game of Thrones, you win, you die.
Oh, no, not the beast! Not the beast! Ah!